I will teach you this tcon board because I have old display LCD of my monitor. So I have a old tcon board for computer LCD, meaning I have my computer display is broken, so I can change the display. Previous display is glasses smashed out, so I cannot see anything. So anything is smashed out completely. Only left this board. So today in this video I will teach you how it works this board. This is a tcon board. First, I made a schematic, but literally there are internet can help to find out this schematic. There are two portions. One schematic I made it. This one is made and this is I can download by internet. So there are, maybe I missed the IC chip number. Let me show a first tcon board. There are backside double-sided board, door plates, LVDS, EPROM. This is a butt IC, which means the regulating IC, main IC to control a pixel, and backlight inverter. So it is LED backlight inverter. So there's on built in tcon board. So there are not, this is not matter only built. Sometimes some monitors are external card for backlight, but this case is on built in tcon board. So there are same EPROM 14. Let me see number 4 ROMs, and this is a main IC which is 512 5112 I mean. So this is a back regulator circuit first. But regulator, it is need input 5. This panel are different voltage, 3 volt, 3.3 volt or 5 volt. In this case is 3 volt. So it can put a 5 volt or 3 volt input to output variable voltage according to 1 to output 13 volts. So this is a voltage divider to output voltage increase or decrease accordingly. No more, no above to 13 volt and no below to 1 volt. So there are 5 volt input which stabilize 22 microfarad and those IC in. This IC is on build MOSFET. Some ICs cannot build MOSFET, so it is the external MOSFET, but this IC is built with this IC with this model is built with internal MOSFET. So it is those chip power as well as MOSFET with inductor and diode which is 40 milliamps diode, and output stable by this 22 microfarad, and voltage divider for reference, feedback and other capacitor 22 picofarad to output stable. Output 450 milliamps, not too much milliamps. What happens when voltage is low? They are smooth by this capacitor. When those there, this IC can on. When this IC is on, this IC can generate a PWM to internal MOSFET. PWM pulse with modulation signal. When the MOSFET can join this inductor setting point to negative point. This case, there is magnetic. This coil acts like an electromagnet that can collapse the electric field. When it switch is turned off, when MOSFET is turned off, when frequency it pulse the voltage, it can recreate in electric magnetic energy to electrical energy, which can by produce in AC form, which can convert in DC form, and this DC by this Zener diode and smooth by this capacitor, and voltage divider which drops positive for output voltage mean 820 kilo ohm and 75 kilo ohm to negative voltage, and feedback input this IC is. So there are IC and some there also are internal feedback, which means when power battery, it is a laptop display, so there is battery low and high, it can regulate output voltage low and output it is regulate the power. When regulating power, it's input feedback by this 220 nanofarad capacitor, 150 or 620 kilo ohm resistance series to reference input reference as well as feedback negative signal. And this is for capacitors to drive this. There's a adjust pin tom and there are some pins, and this is a control pin which control by system graphic cards with this, and some little components for the extra. This is a display for chip on working. So chips are small components on build temperatures, which is basically a logic level logic dates when voltage is like pin 1 voltage compared by pin 2. When pin 2 voltage is higher than pin 1 volt, this test output is low. So when pin 1 is low and pin 2 is high, output is also high. So this step is same in there. So there also need a 500 kilo ohm to 500 kilo ohm voltage divider. So maybe this step in 12 volt is there to drop by 5 volt or 2.2 volt to run this IC. With this is stabilized capacitor, and this is a part 1 circuit. And output is also this chip with 65 milliamps diode, and also though other voltage divider which then positive voltage divider 1 mega on 60 kilo ohm for this chip. This also combine these two one and this one combined together, and main value is though to the MOSFET which can trigger more frequency. And this is not nothing at all. Or this is also VGL voltage for panel voltage. So it is a 23 volt 20 milliamps. What is a LCD? LCD means liquid crystal display. So you may know all types of CRTs. CRT is electronically done which can produce electrical pixels by electrical feed. There's present a bulb which can emit an electronic beam, and beam splashing by full screen with help of detergent oil on the picture tune. Magnetic coil. This acts like this beam is a magnetic field beam, which means this when you close the LCD CRT monitor, CRT TV or monitor to magnet, when you move a magnet, graphics automatically move because there are magnetic. This all the cathode ray radiation is a magnetic radiation. When you magnet close to it, magnet and it strictly interact with cathode ray. Cathode ray mean cathode rays tube. So this is a LCD, liquid crystal display. So rays is not dangerous for eyesight, but LCD is not dangerous for eyesight. There are glass pixels with inside the liquid, which can liquid glow when they are each terminal voltage. So those there first. There are connectors. All these connectors with this main processor right there, and their main processor and some. Let me I show you. Yes, this way. So there's a LVDS connector. So some signals is though these 3 pins with 1, 2 and 3 and 4. These 4 pins connecting in this side, this connector, and this outputs panel, this voltage output which sending by these 26, 28 or 20, 32 or 30 or 36 or 38 pins. And when it's external, let me wait. So there are a main chip which can drive each pixel by pin 33 to pin 43. There are circuits. There are some outputs. This output, some are resistors, some are exact to this chip, and this chip will need a regulator which can regulate by this chip voltage. I don't know this is which voltage is regulator is. So there is connecting in right. Yes, there's a regulator. So this regulator is there with some capacitor to output some capacitor or resistor to do. Although this is SMD resistor or capacitor, some resistor mark a value, but this case R resistor is no valued, or capacitor always not valued because the capacitor is SMD. So we need an SMD capacitor tester to test, so which I cannot use right now. So there are capacitor and resistor to this chip. This is a K6, and what happening there are outputs. Well, this output voltage doped by fuse positive and smooth by this diode. This is one I show 1 and 4007, but it is not. So this smooth by this capacitor negative dose all the common with this way also there on this chip. So there, as you can see, there are Jan and Jan. So Jan is negative sign, so there is 49 or 50 pin with a resistor or capacitor which is mixed value, and there are some other components. There's EPROM K4142. There's EPROM app. So this EPROM native is common with this EPROM, and with serial to data line is nothing to there, and serial data line to connect with this clips. We start by main GHR graphics card. This IC communicates with this main IC with these wires in this network, because there are this can communicate by this with also PC as well as there. And there are backlight inverters. So backlight inverter is they are basically same, but converter which can negative input are the capacitors and positive div by this side, and this then charge first capacitor stabilize, and inductor to same this, and inductor bridge by ground inductor, and with internal MOSFET it can, and induction self this induction to create a magnetic induction to create electricity, AC which is AC coupling capacitor, and after those DC diode, and after DC coupling capacitor, and negative is common, so positive dose this connector, and this test is 3 negative, which means common node LED. Positive is common, negative is separate for RGB colors, and these LEDs each pin is connected capacitor, electrolytic capacitor or not, which is I not sure what is the value is, and 16 IC, this IC is DBDJ IC. There's no number. 16 no data sheet fine. 16, 15, 14 or 13 is output for each cell, and 12 and 11 is turn set resistor, and 11 also negative, 10 is also negative, 9 for switching, and 8 for IC power, and 6 for sense input, which means this resistor sense input, and there is 4 more resistance for each side connecting to the each 1 to 4 pin, and other side resistor side is common together with negative. May it have internal pull down resistance, and if a pull up which it can set output 3 or fewer phases, which means output 4 terminals voltage. It may be built temperature which can 4 temperatures inside which can logic input by these 4 output pull down resistor for out circuit, and pull up resistor for on build this chip. So it can set output voltages each turn, maybe, because I cannot find data sheet of this IC. This IC is also find a not data sheet, but find a circuit diagram. I think not this one. Now this IC is 5112. Now I am telling you what type of display is first. LCD display meaning liquid crystal display. On LED display is same as liquid crystal display, but only difference is LED display mean LED backlight display, LCD backlight. LCD display backlight is made of CCFL, which I drive by high voltage module, which is also type of CCFL compact fluorescent light bulb type. CCFL is told cathode fluorescent light, which driver I already show you of my fully fused bulb video. So only difference, both are liquid crystal displays. Only difference is backlight. LED one is LED, LCD one is told cathode one, and CRT is completely different. CRT is a electron beam which is a round bottom flash type tint, which is backside the bulb, which is emit RGB touch beams, which can hit the phosphorus screen and side wave and the copper coil, which can act like an electromagnetic field to splash the electrical beam to full screen. Otherwise, when you touch detonation winding terminals to remove the motherboard of PC, cathode ray It is not metal monitor or TV. Both ways, when you see a dot on picture tube, which means display is dot. This cathode ray display start a picture tube when picture tube is dot. So the electronic beam RGB beam is the phosphorus string in one point. So this detoxin coil helps to vibration, multi-vibration to vibrate the frequently image to the full string. An image amplifier is used to oscillate the image to back and forth in settings in 1000 times in per 1 nanosecond. You can see by taking a video for CRT TV for your recording by cell phone and slow in scenes very slow motion. You can realize how display move back and forth in CRT. So CRT emits dangerous radiation. LCD cannot emit on LED. Other thing is plasma. Plasma is I'm not sure what is a plasma display. Maybe plasma display plasma or maybe LED panel, which means there are dot matrix display which means which epoxy or epoxy resin blob which are lots of LEDs which can on simultaneously one by one to make a graphics maybe or maybe different. I cannot see plasma display and this video is ending.